3, 2, 1.
Are we live, John?
We are live, Mo.
Awesome. Hey, guys, thank you for tuning in to our third live Wheelhouse show. I'm really excited about this week's show for a couple of reasons. We got two amazing guests today. We have some alcohol in the room that I'm eyeing. You probably can't see it on camera. So we're excited to try that out today. Before we get started, I'll introduce John again. John is your director and producer. I don't know if you can see him yet. I can see him.
Boom.
Can they see you?
Hi, everybody.
And your
How you
cool
doing, Mo?
brick wall. I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm still jealous since last week about your brick wall. That I don't have a cool wall behind me.
I know. I went to get our little Roman soldier that we had on hold.
Somebody took it?
Somebody took it. I was so upset. I was like, really? I had it on hold. I hadn't put money down. That was my own fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gone. So we're gonna find out something. We'll figure out something else.
I'm Persian, so we got to get something like big and loud and probably gold behind me. I don't like gold stuff. We'll get some huge statue behind me and it'll look cool, like your brick wall.
We'll get something. We'll pimp the place out a little bit.
Yeah. So we are Facebook Live today. We're going to be on YouTube pretty soon. Do us a favor, if you can like AE Wheelhouse, if you can follow us, share us, we really appreciate it. We are very, very thankful and blessed for all the love we got the last couple weeks. We've had thousands of views on our last two live shows. A lot of the clips that John is editing and putting up have a lot of great information. I learned a heck ton of a lot of stuff from our last 2 weeks worth of guests. And today we have two awesome guests again. Our first guest happens to be the beverage director of one of my favorite steakhouses in Chicago, Smith & Wollensky. I am going to butcher his last name if I try. I've tried like 40 times since he got here about a half hour ago, and every time I pronounce it differently. So I'm just going to say Alec, and then I'm going to let you pronounce your last name for them.
It's Alec Bruggenthues.
Bruggenthues. All right, I got it. And you're with Smith & Wollensky?
Yes.
Awesome. How long have you been there?
I've been there, July will be 9 years.
Awesome. And I found out before we got on air that Smith & Wollensky in Chicago is actually your third location, right?
Yes. We opened about 20 years ago this month. First one's in New York. They opened about 40 years ago.
Awesome. And the one in Miami too, right?
The one in Miami opened in between the two stores. They opened about a year before the one in Chicago.
You guys have one of the coolest spots in Chicago for a steakhouse, just being right off that river. It's amazing.
Yeah, our location definitely helps us out. And real estate is certainly, as I said, certainly something that our restaurant group does very well. If you go to any of our locations, we are in prime spots in those cities.
Yeah, it's like the perfect spot in Chicago. And great steak, great food, and great drinks. Have you always kind of been in the beverage wine sector?
Yes, for about 16, 17 years now.
Okay, cool. How did you get into that? You just love drinking?
Well, I've always been in the service industry, and that's something that I've always had a sort of affinity and interest for. And I've always wanted to know more about the history and the service of all these different products. And I thought I could specialize my restaurant management resume by focusing more on that, and this is where it's taken me.
Cool. So is it more wine or beverage and wine that you're focused on? I know wine's a passion of yours. We chatted about that.
It is, and in every position that I've really had, it's been the main focus, but it's certainly helpful to also focus on spirits, cocktails, and beer as well. Beer is actually sort of the first passion.
Really?
And then after that, it was this is when I was out of college in Evanston working at a bar. It was an Irish pub, so I was sort of in charge of the beer and the whiskey. And they're like, "Oh, and pick the wines." I'm like, "Okay, wine should be easy,
Sure.
after Scotch, right?" So yeah, certainly understood that. I was completely naive, dove headfirst into wine, and here I am.
Awesome. And we spoke a little bit about before the show started about kind of you've been to wine country, and when they're harvesting wine, it's a big undertaking. I didn't mention it, but I've been to a hop farm in Michigan, hophead farm actually in Michigan, and I had not as big of an appreciation as I do now about the process. You grab a beer, you open it, you drink it, and you're like, oh, this tastes good and it's fun. But you don't realize all the stuff that goes into actually making beer, and I'm guessing wine is just as crazy of a process.
Oh, you could say the same for beer, wine, and spirits. There's an extensive process to get to that finished product.
Have you gone and watched all of it? I know you said you went to wine country. Have you done it at like a kind of a hop farm and then
I haven't been to a hop farm. I've been to many breweries,
okay, cool,
and a few distilleries, but I haven't seen I haven't gone to a hop farm and seen that process from the very beginning.
It's a tough process, it looked like. The kids that were working there were working their butts off. And my girlfriend's stepdad he's worked on the farm, and he did a lot of putting up the trellises and a lot of engineering stuff. And they were like, "Do you want to work on the farm a little bit?" And I was like, "Not really. This looks like a lot of work."
I think whether it's for beverage production, food production, any type of farming is hard work.
Yeah.
Some trips to California, I've had the opportunity just to clip leaves off because too many leaves on the vine can, give you a pallid, thin wine. So, you make passes through the vineyard, and you're bending down, you're standing up, you're climbing these steep grades. It's hard work, and that's just walking around with scissors, essentially snipping leaves off.
It's crazy. It's crazy that it's such a detailed process. And we kind of spoke a little bit about where to go in California before, again, we got on the air. Any recommendations of places to go in wine country if somebody was traveling out that way?
My favorite spot to go is Sonoma, just because there's more of a variety of wines there. If you go to Napa Valley, you're going to be inundated with Cabernet. If you love Cabernet, go for it. Napa Valley is also significantly more expensive than Sonoma, I've found. Sonoma, you have different valleys, different areas where, Zinfandel is a star, Pinot Noir is a star, Cabernet is a star. You have a lot of different varieties, and I think sort of the culture of everyone there is a little bit more casual, a little bit more accepting.
Yeah. So I am self-admittingly not a really good wine connoisseur at all. I have a ton of wine in a big bar that I have in my house, so if people come over, they can pick out what they want. But I literally just go to Binny's and I'm like, I know people like that, and I know people like that, and I have no rhyme or rhythm to what I do, and I just buy the stuff I've heard people like. But I go on a lot of networking events or dinners, and I'm always kind of the shy guy who won't order the wine for the table because I just don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Are there any like tips and tricks for a guy like me who doesn't know very much about wine? I know like sometimes I say pair one type of wine with one type of food. Any tips or tricks for a guy like me who doesn't know what the hell he's doing?
Well, if wherever you go there is a wine professional, certainly seek that person's advice.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with seeking any professional's advice.
Right.
If you have a question about law, you go to a lawyer. If, we were talking real estate earlier. If I had questions about housing, I'd go to someone like you. You walk into a restaurant. You don't know that much about wine, seek out the wine professional. If there isn't one there, definitely go with something that, well, I guess one of the things I enjoy about wine is the fact that there's so much out there, there's always going to be a new experience waiting for you every day. So I think it's always fun to try something new. I think one of the obstacles that people, are a little nervous about is foreign wines, French, Italian, German. A lot of those labels are indecipherable to people, and they get discouraged because they're unsure what they're having, so they fall back on something that they've had before, which is fine because it's something that you like and something that other people like. So you can go that route, or if it the sort of the flavor profiles of what you or the group that you're ordering for are interested in, seek that wine professional's advice and let them know what you're looking for, and they'll probably find something for you that will be new to you, that you'll enjoy. It'll be a nice surprise.
What's like the most and this could be a very general, dumb question, but what's the most popular type of wine that you guys are serving at like a Smith & Wollensky?
Napa Valley Reds, easily.
Easily?
That's at least half, if not more, of our sales.
Okay, cool.
But a lot of that is because we're a steakhouse, and that's a
Right.
natural pairing. Steakhouses are essentially an American invention when it comes to global dining. So American red wines is what people expect to have.
Awesome. So if I wanted to make my bar at home more friendly for people coming over.
What's that address, Mo?
Yeah. It's stocked and a lot of tequila. So I got a lot of tequila,
I'm in.
a fair amount of whiskey, and a good amount of wine. Tons of beer, too. So now everyone's going to show up at my house. But 2-3 kind of like good wines to have for entertaining. Mid-price points.
Oh, so you're looking for specific brands, not just styles.
Whatever, styles.
Recommend, obviously, people are familiar with and enjoy Cabernet. Pinot Noir is something that's very popular, but on the lighter side by comparison to Cabernet. And I think it's always important to have either a white or sparkling.
Okay.
At least to start, as a cocktail or reception wine. Sure. I drink a lot more white wine than I do red.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm drinking wine when I'm done with work, and I find it to be refreshing.
Is there one that gives a bigger hangover than the other?
Well, obviously reds with more alcohol, and
Okay.
because they have more tannin, that doesn't help. But you drink enough of anything,
Yeah.
you're going to get a hangover just because of the alcohol content.
Now in my mid-30s, if I drink anything of any amount, I have a hangover. And it's not just like a day, it's 2 days or 3 days.
Oh, I completely relate.
Yeah.
I'm 40, and if I have 3 beers, I have to think about what I'm doing the next day.
So I race cars, and my car says Tequila Patron on the side. And admittingly, I wasn't like a big fan of tequila back in the day, but everybody started buying me Patron because I drove the car that says Patron on the side of it. So I just naturally started drinking a lot of Patron, which is bad because that's terrible for hangovers.
Yes. Well, I mean, any spirit is just because it's higher alcohol content, and you're apt to drink more.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to kind of the service industry so that some of our people watching can get a little quick tip or some tricks about working in the service industry. I tell a lot of people who want to be business owners, you should, especially when you're a little bit younger, so you can kind of get the experience, go work in the service industry for a little while, because it teaches you so much about A, customer service, B, working in kind of a high stress situation. And I did it as a delivery boy when I was younger, but you're running around and it's a very high stress situation. But I tell a lot of people, if you can gain experience by working in the service industry, it's invaluable type of experience. Do you take any of that now from when you first started in the service industry, and do you see any trends for people who go from service industry into owning businesses?
Oh, absolutely. Just for the simple fact that you are dealing with people from different walks of life all of the time. In some lines of work, you might see anywhere from 2 to 5 clients or guests, if you will, a day. If you're working in a restaurant or delivering things, something like that, any type of high volume service, you're seeing all sorts of different people every day. It's like speed dating almost.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And everybody is different, and it teaches you to handle different situations throughout your career, whatever that career may be.
Yeah, and you've, Smith & Wollensky gets really busy, and I think that what you guys do fantastic is your service level is always at a very high level, no matter what. And I always tell when I'm coaching people who are starting a business, and a lot of times people think to themselves, well, when should I grow my team? Do with team as I grow, and my recommendation always is, if your customer service starts to drop, you have to restructure a little bit, and you have to change the way you approach your business. You have to add more staff or do things to make your customer service get better. And I know you guys in the service industry, that's the big thing, is customer service, right? If that fails, then especially in a Yelp world now, you're in a lot of trouble.
Oh, especially with not only Yelp but TripAdvisor and even open table reviews. We're certainly under the microscope with every single table, and service is the number one thing that we stress with our staff. And with more and more restaurants opening, it's becoming more and more difficult just to find the right fit, the right people. We always look for someone that has a strong service background, having done either steakhouse or fine dining previously, because it's something you can teach, but it's something that we need to have people that have some experience with. You can't go from working at, say, McDonald's to a restaurant. That's too much to teach in a short period of time. So it's you sort of climb the ladder as far as quality of places that you work, and you have to have that strong service background. You have to have people that you can rely on.
Yeah. I totally agree, especially in this world where, and we're going to talk about branding with our next guest in a little bit, and kind of getting your name out there online, and then obviously with products. But the internet has gotten to be such a powerful tool to push your business and brand your business, but it also has the ability to make things go negatively viral very fast. I feel bad for all my friends that have restaurants because of Yelp. People typically go on Yelp to bitch and moan about bad things that they could have probably not bitched and moaned about.
4 out of 5 reviews are negative because someone's angry and they want someone to listen.
Right, and there's probably 100 people that go through and they've had a great level of service and a great meal and everything's great, but the 3 people that just were pissed off about something small are going to be the people that are now representative of maybe your online profile, which is total pain in the butt.
Yeah, it's something that happens very often. One of the things we do to try and ensure that doesn't, continue, or certain missteps don't slip through the cracks, is that myself and the other managers make sure that we interact with every single guest, make sure that they're enjoying themselves, because that's why they're there. They come in to have a good time. We're there to make sure that it happens, and we try and give them that opportunity to let us know if that isn't happening. Often people will say, "Oh, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to embarrass myself or my other guests." Right. But then we can't fix the problem because we don't know that there is a problem. And then, they'll go online or they'll send us an email and say something. And one of the first things we ask is, did someone come up to you and approach you and, find out how things were going? And they'll say yes, but, we were embarrassed. So that makes things difficult because, we had an opportunity, presented them with the opportunity to let us know what was wrong. And then they don't let us know. And then when they get home, they go online and say, this was bad, this was terrible.
And this is kind of just a Yelp thing, and it's for any business owners out there. Yelp is tough because, and I don't know if TripAdvisor does the same thing. I've actually had on the legal side a client of mine who with Yelp, they had an angry ex-employee, and they were basically a med spa. So they were selling on Groupon, and their rating was like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And they pissed off an ex-employee, and the ex-employee went and wrote all this crap about them on Yelp. Now, Yelp somehow filtered out a lot of their good reviews and left up bad reviews. So they went from a 4.5 star to like a 1.5 star. So they got a call from Groupon that said, hey, your rating went from 4.5 to 1.5. We just can't have you on. And what stunk for them was 90% of their business came from the Groupon that they were selling. So they called me in like a panic. What do we do? What do we do? And I said, and Yelp had called them and said, well, if you advertise with us, you have a little more latitude on, advertising stuff, but they wouldn't say flat out that we will refilter stuff because they can't say that. I was like, that sounds like extortion. That sounds
catastrophic.
It's terrible.
That sounds like a nightmare.
I felt bad, so I started reaching out to their legal department, and and I don't need to badmouth Yelp because I'm sure I'm gonna get I have a couple friends that work there on Facebook, and I'm about to get some nasty messages. But I reached out to the legal department and say, hey, listen, I gotta talk to you guys about this. Ignored me. I finally got a call from somebody that was like, hey, butchers my name, is so-and-so there? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, good luck. You won't be the first person to sue us. You won't be the last person. You're never gonna win. Why don't you Google class action Yelp and then see what pops up? And I'm like, what? So I Google it, and I'm like, holy smokes, there's a lot of people like my client that have run into this sort of scenario, and there's nothing they can do. They have no latitude because the cyber laws really protect them, and their terms of service are kind of airtight, and there's nothing you can do. So I always feel bad, especially in the service industry, because you guys are doing your best. No service industry, especially a restaurant, especially a high-end one, wants you to have a bad time when you come in. You guys are doing everything you can. Sometimes people complain about the dumbest things. So that's a big thing, online profiles now.
Oh, absolutely. And, people complain for, the silliest reasons, and, just could be, maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the bed and maybe they went out to have a bad time, as, I say from time to time.
Yeah. Or they had a bad time and they went out and carried that with them.
Exactly.
All right. What about a learning? We talked about a kind of a learning experience, and you had mentioned it to somebody who's getting into the same sort of workforce, maybe even into the service industry. You got a good learning experience for these guys?
I do. So, I think we all sort of felt, the pinch with the economic, fallout, whatever we want to call it, end of 2008, beginning of 2009. At the time, I was working at a restaurant downtown here. And myself and a lot of other people that are beverage professionals lost their jobs because people were running out of money and we seemed to be somewhat expendable. And so I spent the 6 months, looking for a similar type job. There weren't any out there. And I was traveling the country, flying to D.C., flying to San Francisco. And it was really discouraging. And it got to the point where I'm like, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that I can do? But it's, something that I really enjoy. I didn't want to do anything else. Yeah. So I really just, kind of waited it out. And that's actually when I started working at Smith & Wollensky about 6 months later. And I'm really glad that I did stick with it because, if I decided to go, a different route, whether it be business or teaching, whatever it might be, I might be successful, but I might not be as happy or as interested in the field that, I felt that I was sort of pushed into because of, the economics of things. So I think if you're doing something that you really care about, something that you really enjoy, and something that interests you to the point where you're willing to do it 70, 80 hours a week, then stick with it no matter what those obstacles are because there will be a way around it.
Yeah.
And if you're dedicated to it and you're putting yourself, in a position to succeed, even when the economic climate doesn't really allow you to do so, you will get to where you're going. It might just take
a little longer. I love that. You and I have kind of a similar story there. When I got out of law school, it was 2009, so job offers really, really stunk. The big law firms had laid off good attorneys, and they were taking entry-level jobs because they had bills and families to support. And I got out, and there's no job offers. There was a $35,000 to $37,000 offer, and I just got out of law school, and I opened my own law firm. And it was real tough the first couple of years. I mean, I was on Craigslist saying I'll cover a case for $50 just to build a database. But it was just kind of that, exactly what you said. If you're going to do something, don't quit. You just have to kind of grit forward and keep going because, if you bail on it and go do something else, you might regret it 5-10 years. And every market cycles up, it cycles down. Now, the last one cycled down really tough on everybody, but you did the right thing. That's a great tip.
No, I think I did, and I'm glad I did because I know, say for instance, I went to real estate. Nothing wrong with that. I'm sure I'd enjoy it, probably be very good at it. Who knows? Maybe I'd be terrible. But, I'd look back and be like, oh yeah, I used to know a lot about wine.
Yeah.
And then I'd just be the guy that would get the wine list handed to him every time he went out to dinner or something like that.
All right, before we bring on our next guest, because I saw you mark it on a questionnaire we had sent you, and I am a huge fan. You're a fan of Westworld, which just aired the second season a couple days ago.
Yes.
You have not watched the first episode
I
yet?
have not watched the first episode. So when the first season came out, I watched the first 2 episodes, enjoyed them, was excited for more, but life happens. I don't watch that much TV as it is. And then I saw the second season was coming out. Like, okay, this show's gained some steam. I like the first 2 episodes. I'm going to binge watch, first season, and that's basically what I did all last week.
You did
at least
it
in
the
the evening.
smart way.
I worked a lot too.
You did it the smart way, because it was like 18 months ago the first season aired. So when I watched the first episode of the second season, I was confused as hell. I'm like, what the heck is going on now? Because it starts right away and it's real crazy and aggressive.
Just picks up right where it left
Picks
off.
up and has like 10 new storylines, or at least maybe I don't remember the old storylines, but it's absolutely nuts. There was a article I read about artificial intelligence. We're chatting about it a little bit too. I don't think you were here yet, Carrie, and I'm going to bring you on in a second. But it was an article that was talking about 2 guys that started a AI research where they had 2 computer robots communicating with each other, and they're trying to get them to communicate back and forth, essentially using computer code or like an English language or a language that we would understand. And very, very quickly, they started to communicate in their own language that was not deciphered at all. It wasn't something they could distinguish, and they shut the whole thing down. They had spent, $6 million or something on the research, and they deemed it so dangerous that these 2 things started their own conversation and could communicate quickly. And they're like, well, this is crazy. This is way too dangerous, and they shut it down. So it's nuts. So this whole Westworld artificial intelligence is kind of a crazy thing because people are actually researching it now.
Oh, absolutely. I studied a fair amount of philosophy in college, and one of the things I really enjoy about the program is that it touches on a lot of different philosophical elements. You could go as far back as the allegory of the caves, or sort of things that B.F. Skinner talked about, like where does thought begin? What is a cognitive entity? What is real? What isn't real?
Yeah.
And who's to say that in this program these created beings aren't real, because they can think and make decisions the same way that regular people can in that show.
And their knowledge is exponential too, because they learn so much quicker than we do. So it's exponential. So it's pretty interesting and also a little scary.
It's an intelligent program. I enjoy it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, I'm going to bring in our next guest, Carrie Leigh. Carrie is the CEO. She just coined that term, or she came up with it or told us about it. I love it. CEO of Get It Made and Chicago Rex. She's a local entrepreneur. She's an expert in branding. I'm going to show you guys this stuff because it's cool. John, can you zoom in on this? By the way, John, I don't know if you guys are listening and you can't hear me, let me know, because my headphone just went out a little bit ago, so hopefully everybody else can hear me. Hopefully. Hey, guys, if you're watching, put in the comment section if you can hear me okay, because if you can't, I'll shout really, really loud.
I can hear you just fine.
Oh, you can? Okay, cool. Now, I want to zoom in on this thing. She branded these cool way out. I got T-Rex arms. I can't get way the hell out there. Are you kidding me?
No,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Look, we got a bunch of them now. They're these WheelHouse coasters. They're so cool. What are these made of, Carrie?
These are made of upcycled laminate flooring.
Okay.
Rebuilding Exchange. Familiar with that place?
This is cool. This is amazing. Thank you. You're our
You're
first guest to
welcome.
bring us swag. We have a guest, John, that brought us wine, and a guest that brought us swag. So the rest of our guests, you guys better bring us something cool, because this is super cool.
That to me says this show is heading in the right direction.
Yeah. Tom NSC said he can hear me fine. Thanks, Tom. Now we know. So tell me, what do the 2 entities do? What does Get It May do, and what is Chicago Rex?
Sure. So I'll go in chronological order.
Perfect.
So I became an entrepreneur 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm relatively new at this. But my first venture was called Bever at the time, which stood for beverage. And it was an atlas of activities that you could do with a drink in hand, whether that be coffee or craft soda, cocktails, wine, whatever.
So cool.
And now it's called Chicago Rex. And that's because it's both recreation activities and recommendations. So unlike Yelp and Google, when you search for ping pong bars in Chicago, they're going to give you a keyword driven result, whereas I manage a database of verified venues, and then I talk about what to eat, drink, and do at those venues.
So cool. So we were talking too before we started. One of the emails that we send out kind of as a marketing email, but an email to our sphere of influences, things going on around Chicagoland this month. and it's the most popular thing that we send out because people just love knowing what's going on, and you take it to a totally different level and just explain everything that's good. Have you been to all these spots?
I haven't. A lot of it is just from either Instagram stalking places to see
Cool.
what the patrons actually do
Yeah.
at places. And then I try to get around town, but as you know, there are a lot of places to go.
Yeah, and growing really fast. By the way, I'm a really good ping pong player, so wherever I got to go play ping pong, I got to go do that. John, we'll play.
There's
You
a
got
ping
it?
pong bar.
There are a few. There's
There are a
spin,
few.
there's
There's
ace
one
bounce.
There's one next door to Smith and Walensky.
Is there?
Yeah.
I could play ping pong and come have a steak because backwards I'll just be slow and tired.
Right.
You'll give me wine too, and then I'll be drunk and bad at ping pong.
You're making excuses already.
Yeah, I'm making excuses. Cool. What's the website so we can put it out there?
So that website is Chicago Rex, R-E-X.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to check it out. So when I'm going out, I'm in the suburbs now, but when I come back into the city to go out, I'm going to check that out. That's a really cool idea. And you started that 2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And during that process, I was learning how to build a database without experience doing that. And then also starting out being new, I didn't have a following. So to make money, I used Shopify and sold products on my online store. And people started ordering products from my store who were not in Chicago and could care less about Chicago Rex.
Wow.
And that got me curious. And so then I started consulting with other business owners that I had met to talk about Shopify, e-commerce, adding e-commerce to an existing business using on-demand fulfillment, which is basically a lean inventory strategy where you don't buy 50 t-shirts at a time and keep them in your home or office. You just post the design online, maybe you order a sample, but then as orders come in, your printer gets an email, they have the design on hand, and they print, pack, and ship it directly to your customer.
That's brilliant. You've covered a lot of ground in 2 years. What made you want to be an entrepreneur? What was the moving point for that?
I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Both my parents were entrepreneurs, and I had a lemonade stand.
Nice.
And then I took that to the next level and sold rocks on the side of the road.
Get out of town. For real?
So I've always been pretty weird. But yeah, I painted them. So I painted rocks, and they were not very aesthetically pleasing, and no one really bought them. But
Aw.
one of the
Were you like an adult selling rocks? Because you were
no,
a kid.
it was last month.
Last month, yeah.
Yeah, location.
Yeah, I'm superior.
Yeah, no, but I'd wanted to start my own business for a while, so I had a list of ideas, and finally I just decided, okay, I'm in a position where I can support myself financially for a while, so let's just
Run with it.
go with it.
And how has it been?
It's been good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You're never going to go back to not being an entrepreneur, is my guess.
I don't think so. I will fight tooth and nail.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I remember my first 2-3 years when I was really struggling. I applied once again for jobs at one point to take part-time jobs, and I got my real estate broker's license to have a second job, but even that wasn't enough, so I had applied for some jobs. But I'm glad I just kind of gritted it out because the first 2, 3, 4 years, it's sometimes even 8 or 9 years. It's a grindy, method of earning an income. Mm-hmm. Anything you love, hate about it?
So I just hired my first employees.
Good for you.
And I was worried about that because, payroll.
Right.
But it's been really fun to have a team.
Yeah.
And I've been a solo entrepreneur since I started, and just having people in the office with me have a shared vision, get to talk
cool.
to somebody. It's almost like
Yeah.
they probably feel like I use them as therapists sometimes,
Yeah.
business therapists, but it's good.
What made you do that? Hire more staff?
I needed help.
Help. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're touching on a little bit. At some point, you get so busy, you're like, I have to hire people to help me out. And yeah, it's a fresh perspective too, because we have 60 agents in our office now, and I say this all the time. They teach me as much as I learn researching everything that I research, only because you have so many different viewpoints and ideas and mindsets. So it's awesome expanding your team because I always say let the chef do the cooking, but also there's a lot of different people who can add a whole lot of value that you just never knew existed.
Yeah.
So that's
and
awesome.
Also, so Get It Made is my second venture. And so we do custom products for individuals and businesses and then build e-commerce stores for them. And
Very
so we're
cool.
starting to get clients who are recurring clients. And so that's why I needed help, is because I'm getting orders for t-shirts. And so I can't be running around heat pressing something and then
Right.
making calls. I'm I'm kind of a klutz, and I'll probably burn the office down if I don't have someone to delegate certain things to.
Yeah, and it's that whole idea of customer service that Alec and I were talking about. Once at some point you get so busy, you're like, I'm going to start missing things or doing things wrong. I always think that's the right time to start expanding. So products, and you were talking about being smart with inventory. I think that's super important, and it goes even a step further. You just got to be smart with budgeting for any new business. Talk about that a little bit more. And are there any products that you see are just common and more people order them than others?
Yes. So t-shirts are the most popular product. And I think that's because traditionally that's what you do when you're getting something made for a bachelorette party or for a 5K. Oh, well, let's make t-shirts. But I have, again, another database. I kind of like databases.
Smart.
But a database of all the custom products that you can get made one at a time.
Okay.
So that's the key difference of Get It Made compared to other promotional marketing companies, which typically have a minimum order quantity of 100 or 50. So we get things made one at a time.
Awesome. I have to definitely talk to you, Jeff. I saw him listening, my business partner. We're going to have to chat with you about making a bunch of cool stuff because I think branding is so important. This is the coolest coaster I've ever seen. But I also just think that intelligent branding really sets you apart because right now on social media, everybody's online. Everyone's doing crazy stuff online. But some of this old product marketing, especially in my realm of the world and with realtors, and we're giving things away, we're giving closing gifts, I feel like people aren't creative enough. So this is really cool that you guys have an array of things that business owners can reach out to and actually customize. Mm-hmm. What's turnaround time for most? I guess it's different, right? Depending on what it
Yeah, it depends, but what it depends on is if I make it in-house or if I outsource it to another printer.
Okay.
So I am a member of MHub, which is a maker space and product prototyping space in Chicago. It's around the corner from my office. And that's where I laser engraved and cut out those coasters. So I did that earlier today.
Wow.
And then the flipping coins and some of the other things that I make in-house, same thing. If I have time, I can do it same day. And then T-shirts, for example, and I've been told that when I talk about printing techniques, I'm really boring, so I'll try to keep this short.
It's new to me, so it's going to be interesting.
Stay away.
Talk about law. Law is boring. When I talk about law to people, they're like, shut up. This is going to be more interesting.
Oh, yeah, well, get ready. So T-shirts can be screen printed. That's what people are most familiar with.
Okay.
But you have to create screens for the different colors or the different designs, and if you have different sizes or placements, then you might have to create more screens, so there's a setup charge. Most on-demand fulfillment printers will use either direct-to-garment printing, which is using a machine like an Epson printer to print directly onto the cotton or poly, whatever the garment is. And then there's sublimation, which is a heat transfer technique where you take dye and you basically re-dye the garment. So that's the longest lasting and generally the most expensive. And then what I do in-house is using heat transfer vinyl. So it's kind of like with athletic jerseys when you see the numbers on the back and they're kind of plasticky. It's that texture. So I call what I do in-house for t-shirts proto shirts, because if you wanted to sell a t-shirt online and you want to start with one, vinyl or direct garment or sublimation, those are your options. And then if you scale up and you want to order more at a time, then you probably want to go with the screen printer or larger volume printer for both cost and quality.
That makes sense. That's not boring.
Somewhat probably boring.
No, that was interesting. Things we probably don't know. The coaster, and actually, Alec off air has been opening wine bottles here. So we'll start drinking while doing the round table. I got T-Rex arms, so I'm never going to be able to reach it. That little coaster flippy thing. Yeah, that thing. This is another cool piece she made for Alec. It's a flip coin, and one side says red, one side says white, but we only have red wine, it looks like, so we have one option.
I made the wrong coin.
But this is cool. This is like, if you're at home and you're a wine drinker at night and you have a significant other or somebody else living with you and you guys can't decide, or if you're just drinking wine by yourself and can't decide, this is cool. You just flip this thing and hopefully it's red.
Winner.
Landed on white.
Guess all the wine's for us.
It's off camera.
Mo doesn't get any.
Yeah, none for me. Are we drinking out of the bottle or do we have cups?
Oh,
Long straws.
Classy, classy just drink out of the bottle here at WheelHouse. So I'm going to let Alec tell us what we got before we keep going.
Okay, so I brought, working at a steakhouse. Like I said, we sell predominantly, American wines, definitely Napa Valley Red. So I brought a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. It's from Howell Mountain. It is the 2008 Lahota Vineyard Cabernet. It is excellent. I've actually visited the... Another reason I brought these two is because these are both the states that I have been to.
Cool.
So if you have questions, I can answer them better than if I brought other wines. And then the other is a Pinot Noir from Oregon's Willamette Valley, specifically the Dundee Hills. It's the 2013 from Domaine Drouin.
Awesome.
So I think we'll go around with the Pinot Noir first.
Perfect. Quick question. And I forgot to ask this before. People look at age of wines all the time. So I don't know the first damn thing about wine. So I a lot of times look. So I see 2008 and my mind thinks that's got to be more expensive. Is there truth to that age, or is it a much bigger mixture of things?
There is some truth to it. 95% of the wine produced in the world really is meant to be drunk upon release.
Okay.
That being said, it doesn't, that 95% isn't going to go bad, within, 5, 6, 7 months. But after, say 5 years, it's not going to get any better.
Okay.
So that other 5% of the wine made in the world that is meant to age, it's meant to age and it's seen as a commodity. A lot of your higher end Burgundies and Bordeaux, some Italian wines, some Cult Cabs from Napa Valley, they're traded almost like stocks because they do have so much value, and a lot of that is based upon their historical value.
Awesome. So what is this first one we're drinking?
So this is Oregon Pinot Noir from Domaine Drouin. They were one of the. They weren't the first, but one of the first.
John's signaling he wants some wine too. He's like,
to produce wine in Oregon's Willamette Valley. It's a venture from a Burgundy producer, Joseph Drouin, and some family members went to Oregon to see what that was all about when it came to Pinot Noir. And they've been operating there, I'm going to say around 40 years.
Wow.
Could be less, though. I could get called out on it, but I know it's round about there. Oregon's Willamette Valley is an excellent place to grow Pinot Noir just because of the different soil types, climate aspect that the hills have.
Very cool. So cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, you don't have any yet.
I'm getting there.
We'll get him a cheers, too. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Taste this. Wow, that's really good.
Oh, that is nice.
That's really
That's
nice.
really very good.
You know what else I'm really bad at? Knowing what kind of flavors are in wines. Some people say it's earthy or this or that or has
Fresh
cedar.
pencil shaving.
A lot of people ask me what flavors they should be tasting in wine. And that would have been an easier question, say, 60, 75 years ago. But since the advent of processed foods, everyone has a different idea of what a cherry tastes like, what raspberry tastes like.
Right.
Kids grow up thinking that they know what blue raspberry tastes like. There's no such thing as blue raspberry.
Right.
That's a completely manufactured flavor. So when I talk to guests about flavors, I try and be pretty broad. Light red fruits, dark fruits, blue fruits, purple fruits. Just try and keep it, because if I say, you get lots of cherry in this wine, and someone says, no, that's more cranberry and raspberry. But
That's a smart ass.
your perception of raspberry is going to be, Carrie's perception of strawberry, it's going to be John's perception of, cassis.
Give me something good.
Right, and it's going to be my perception of peaches. Who knows?
Right.
Not peaches, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, John will say the blue raspberry. Be like,
Right.
John, that's
When,
not a thing.
It's a great Slurpee flavor, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Blue raspberry?
absolutely.
Yeah, because it's blue and then
Of
you have the
course.
cherry, right?
Sure, it tastes
I don't
good,
know about
looks
cherry.
fun.
Oh, of the other.
Makes your mouth blue.
Yeah.
No, this is delicious. This is really, really good. Sorry, viewers, we're drinking now and you guys can't taste the wine with us.
But it's really
Well,
good.
they're
I-
at their home. They can.
True.
I can say,
3 something? I
It's
hope
5
they're at
o'clock
work.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I can't say
Everyone's got that bottle in their drawer in their desk.
that I was at Smith & Wollensky, and that's where I met Alec. And he spent quite a bit of time at the table just going through some of the different flavors and notes and such. And besides his presentation, he talks to people without making them feel silly. He really, I mean, we had questions. He was spot on with all his answers. But it was just, we walked away with some great wine. Thank you very much. And also a little bit of education without feeling, wow, I'm, kind of stupid. You were saying earlier you don't really know about wine. He really is the man to
Yeah. Even
educate.
today, the way he was talking to me about it, I'm completely clueless, but I learned a lot, but in a very educational, not mow you're a dummy way. So I appreciate that.
Well, when you go out to eat, you don't want to feel intimidated. Right. And when you hand someone a wine list, and maybe they're not that savvy when it comes to wine, that's why people like me, at other restaurants, or myself at Smith & Wollensky are there. We're not there to show off and make you feel worse.
Right.
We want you to feel good about the decision that you're making.
I love it. I'm going to have to keep calling you and getting more and more advice, and then maybe stopping by to drink more.
For those parties you're having in your house.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about branding too. So any advice for people who are kind of launching a business maybe and want to pick up some cool branding tips and some cool branding pieces? Anything that's other than t-shirts kind of popular and you think is a smart move?
Well, it depends on the industry
Okay.
and what the business is.
Right.
A lot of people I work with, they want one T-shirt for themselves that has their logo.
Right.
But then if you're going to sell that shirt, unless you already have a really strong, loyal following, they're probably not just going to buy your logo on something.
Right.
But think about what is it they like about your business, or what is that lifestyle element that they're connecting with, and then create the design based on that.
Right. I think I'm going to have to chat with you off air a little bit about real estate too, because I'm not that creative of a guy. I find my strength in being an entrepreneur is I just work hard and I'm consistent, but I'm not very creative. And I think real estate in general, we have a lot of realtors listening, I'm sure. It's a very boring industry in the sense that they've done the same crap for 100 years and they don't evolve very quickly. Mortgage people, we got a lot of them listening too. They're the same way. I feel like there's such a good market for that, for people to be smart about branding, smart about, things like this, giveaways and just branding themselves. So we'll have to chat about that a little bit. We chatted a little bit on the phone about a cool learning experience. I'll let you share it completely with everybody else and give us that
Learning experience.
I think it was
one
like
in the survey, or just what I would recommend?
what you would recommend.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like what you would recommend to somebody starting their business.
Yeah, so I consider the last 2 years as an entrepreneur as a continuous learning experience. And I think the best thing that someone entering the job market, or especially starting a business, can do is to just actually do it, because knowledge is a byproduct of experience. So I've always been a very pragmatic learner, learning by doing, like selling rocks. Very
Yeah.
informative. People don't like painted rocks as
That's
an
a tough
item by
sell.
a 5-year-old. But just go out there and do it. So sometimes I get clients who are just obsessed about their logo, and you have to get your hands dirty and just move beyond that and take a risk, just start doing things, see what works, see what doesn't, learn from it, and just keep actually doing things.
Yeah. I love that. We talked about it a little bit last week with our two guests, Michael and Ed, about not being afraid of failure. So you obviously took a leap of faith and went forward, and you did, your two businesses now in 2 years, which is intense and very tough to do. But you just, like you said, you went with it. You knew that failure is a possibility. You still probably know it is. Every day, I'm 9 years in now, I feel like I could still fail at everything, but it doesn't stop you. You just keep moving forward. Do you think that's a big piece of it? You just were not as afraid as some people might be?
Yeah, and I think I got that confidence I actually have started 3 businesses in the past few years.
Outside of selling rocks a couple of years ago?
Right, aside from that stint. I started a company called Art Room Events with my co-founder, and it was basically creative experiences, like how to paint with coffee, and we wrote a murder mystery called The Dill Pickle Club based on Chicago history, and it was really fun. And we were able to scale and be profitable within a few months, and after that I felt on fire.
Love it.
And so even though the events world wasn't for me, the lifestyle of having to be on point in front of people all the time wasn't my jam. That was a big confidence builder for me.
I love it. Do you feel like experience-related outings are booming now? Because back in the day, like even five or 6 years ago, you just go out and you would drink and hang out. Now I feel like we're talking about ping pong at bars, where trivia is kind of a big thing. Experience-based outings are kind of on the rise.
Oh, definitely.
Huge.
Yeah.
Do you see that popping up a lot with Chicago Recs and everything? Is it just more bars integrating that sort of thing?
Yeah, bars, but it's not just bars. It's also, you've got coffee shops that are doing a lot of
True.
cool things. I just have so many examples. Like there's a brewery in Albuquerque that hosts an acrobatic troupe, and they have this really unique, I don't remember the name of the brewery, but they have these performances that are so cool. And so there's acro yoga happening. There's goat yoga and adoption
saw goat
of
yoga.
baby
So
goats
weird.
at breweries, and just some really cool stuff that is experiential, and consumers love that.
I saw a goat yoga video where the goat peed on the person doing yoga. And I hadn't seen anything. I'd never seen goat yoga. And I just started doing yoga. And I was like, oh, these things are cute. And they're little goats running around. And then the video is just a goat pissing on some dude's yoga mat. And I was cracking up. I was like, nobody probably thought that far ahead.
We're going to be editing that out.
Yeah, goat yoga.
Goat yoga.
Goat yoga.
Go get peed on by a goat.
But they have like events now at bars and stuff where come like hang out with, I would die, but come hang out with cats and kittens. I'm allergic to cats, so I'd be a dead man if I walked into that place. But they have like come hang out with puppies and do this and that. It's a experience-based outings are becoming huge.
Definitely.
So check out Chicago Rex for a bunch of experience-based outings. We got a second wine. I drank
You
this like
already
it's a
finished?
shot
Looks
of
like you hated
Patron.
the first wine.
I got through this fast. That was amazing.
I have to say, if there was a bar full of puppies, I would leave with at least 2.
Yeah, that's my problem.
That
too.
would
I
be
love
that
dogs.
would be really, really dangerous for me.
I think they have them. I mean, kittens are cute. I don't like cats just because I'm allergic to them and I think they're mean. But that's my opinion. So my cat friends, our managing broker in our office, I tease her. Paul is probably listening. I call her a crazy cat lady. But yeah, if there were puppies in a place, I'd be screwed. I'd be taking them all home. That's why I can't go to Paws and stuff. So if I go to Paws or the anti-cruelty, I just grab them and go.
I can't even walk past the anti-cruelty society.
Yeah.
Too tempting to walk in and then too tempting to walk out with a new friend.
Especially if you're drinking too, because you're going to get drunk and be like, oh my God, these puppies. And then you're going to take them all
That
home.
would be a great way for the Humane Society to help,
Yeah.
speed up the adoption process. Is
Get
have
people drunk.
like a happy hour.
You wake
Yeah.
up with 5 dogs.
You got $5. Problem is that most people would return
Right.
the next day. They'd be like, I got to give 4 of these back to you guys.
Yes, the dog walk of shame.
Yeah. But that is an
Keep
idea.
rolling with this.
So what's our second one?
So the second wine is made by, this is from Lahota Vineyards. It's the 2008 Hull Mountain Cabernet Sauvignon. Hull Mountain, about 2,400 feet up in the air in the west side of Napa Valley. I visited there about 18 months ago. Fellow that makes the wine, his name's Chris Carpenter. He's actually from Chicago. Played football at U of I.
Okay.
Moved out to California to make wine, and while he was first getting started there, he also bartended nights at a steakhouse in the middle of Napa Valley. And actually, the way I got to meet him was going to the steakhouse with the woman that took me on the tour of the vineyards and the winery. And she's like, "Oh, let's go have a drink." So we went to the steakhouse. We sat at the bar, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, this is the winemaker, the guy taking our drink order. Still today is working
Wow.
the bar there."
Impressive.
In Napa Valley, and he hears all the gossip from all the people that work at the vineyards while he's serving them drinks, whether they know who he is or not. But he makes some really terrific
undercover
wines.
boss.
Yeah. And and another reason why I brought these two is there's stark differences in between these two wines. Just looking at them in our fine crystal glassware.
Only the best at WheelHouse.
That's right.
Only the best in WheelHouse.
That's right.
Oh, we're going to get some branded
you're
glasses.
Gonna get some
We are.
branded,
We're going to.
chalices here.
I know a CEO that might hook us up.
I think so. I think we got a CEO that can brand all of our
Yep.
stuff. Yeah, it does look like one is obviously quite a bit darker than the other.
Oh, absolutely. The Cabernet is certainly darker, certainly fuller bodied, certainly drier,
Awesome.
and a lot of different flavors.
I didn't even see it to the right here, but
He had to hide it from you.
I know. My client is my Facebook friend who I'm going out on showings with later today. So if he's watching, I will do my best to sober up before we go and look at houses, your future home. That is really good too. John, did you get that second one? It's delicious.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no,
you
you-
don't see anything.
We definitely can't have like a whiskey or a tequila person on here because then we're definitely not doing anything after.
Did you just say we should
We
definitely
should definitely have
yes.
someone?
Can you invite other guests back for those days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just have a line.
Be
of
a
people
growing
here.
community.
Absolutely.
Actually, one of the things that we are hoping to do with WheelHouse is eventually have kind of a get together with everybody who's been on the show, kind of, plus ones and different people, and just get everybody together. Because the whole idea behind WheelHouse is really to just get entrepreneurs, local business owners, charities, and people kind of out in the open and increase their sphere of influence and their reach. And John and I have spoken about that. We're probably at some point in the next few months going to do an event. So we'll have you guys all back. Hopefully we'll have a bunch of different people with different bits of liquor.
Will this be at your house with your well-stocked bar?
Yeah, we could do it if you guys want to Uber X all the way out to Northbrook and then Uber X back.
Buy Uber
I've
stock
heard
now.
it's fast.
Yeah, we'll slumber party all the way out in Northbrook. Before we go, I love asking this question of everybody on. Anything you guys, and Alec, I'll start with you, anything you guys do kind of outside of business and work that kind of lets you get away from business and work a little bit, hobbies?
Record shopping is certainly therapeutic.
Cool.
And then you get to go home and listen to them.
Yeah,
but
while drinking wine.
Right, but then that also involves, probably some wine or, a cocktail. But
What kind of
that's
music?
all across the board. Jazz and blues, classic rock,
Okay.
lots of hip hop.
Nice. That's like a wide range of stuff.
More, older '90s hip hop.
Yeah.
Maybe early 2000s.
Yeah.
I'm catching up, if you will.
Pandora has a good 80s, 90s, and 2000 station that you might want to check out.
I'll give it a listen.
It's a good one. I love country music, which nobody pins me for. 99.5, 95.5 are my first two presets. They joke I'm a brown cowboy that doesn't like riding horses, but I love country music. I love
Scared
all
of
those
horses.
stuff too. Terrified of horses, but I love country music. How about you?
As far as
Hobbies?
country music,
Yeah,
or
country music or things you do outside of running three businesses.
no, I'm into country music.
You
Yeah.
are? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like
Big
UH
Phil
country?
Vassar fan.
Yeah.
I really like Phil.
Yeah.
And outside of work, which doesn't feel like work because a lot of what I focus on is play, I am into obscure sports leagues, competitions. So like right now I'm in the Royal Palm Shuffleboard League.
Whoa.
It's the first full court shuffleboard.
Is it popular?
Club.
Is it like a
So they
hot
have one in
ticket?
Brooklyn, which is very popular, wildly popular. And the Chicago one just opened. So this is the inaugural league.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. We just won our second game last night.
Whoa.
I saw that on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the 2 a.m. rerun, but you made it on.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying out that new move. And I didn't quite nail it, but it's a work in progress.
How about ping pong? Because we'll invite you to this little ping pong battle that John and I are about to have.
I'm in. I haven't played in a league, but
I haven't either. We just had a ping pong table, so I think I was good because I was better than like my cousins and my sister and family members. But I probably suck compared to somebody who's good.
Oh,
But
it's
I think
going
I can
down.
beat John.
It's going down.
I think I'll beat John at it.
Oh, it's on.
You know what's getting big is kickball. So our office has a kickball team, and we're doing with the Chicago Association of Realtors. We're doing a citywide real estate kickball event June 7th, and it's going to be kind of cool. It's just a bunch of different offices getting sponsored and playing kickball against each other. So that's kind of, we played when we were kids, and now it's kind of a big thing now, kickball. You should check that out.
I played kickball when I was in San Francisco.
Really?
So that's off the list. I'm good.
You're good. It's harder than it looks. I was like, I played this when I was a kid. I'm going to kick this ball like way the heck out of here. And then I'd kick the ball and it bounced like 20 feet. I'm like, whoa, this is not easy. It's harder now than when I was a little kid.
Well, I played when I was in my 20s, and our version we called slosh ball. So it was kickball, but you had to have a beer in your hand the whole time.
Whoa.
And so you had to be holding it, and then to catch the ball, you had to kind of like do the one-arm hug.
Oh. If you chug your beer and finish it, can you then catch the ball?
You could.
You drop your beer and catch it.
Yeah, you should try it. But on second base, you did have to chug a beer before you. Well, you don't have to chug it, but you can't leave
Until you
second
finish.
base until you finish. Maybe that was just our version.
Yeah.
But
I don't think the Chicago Association of Realtors is going to allow that set of rules, but I will bring it up at the next board meeting to see if
For
I-
our first big outing, like we were talking about, rather than being fancy schmancy, kickball,
Slush
with
ball?
beer,
That'd be
little
cool.
wine maybe. Boom, it'd be good.
Yeah, the liability, the attorney of the two thinks that the liability might be high, John.
you probably need some
we need
sort
a lot of
license.
waivers for all of our guests that are going to be drunk and fall.
I just run the camera, man.
I like the idea.
I'm
though.
no legal guy.
Yeah, sue us. We got like WheelHouse has like 6 cameras and a desk. So actually, if they sue us, there's not much they can get from me and you.
Yeah. Well, I'm keeping my wine.
Yeah, they take our half empty bottles of wine and our iPads.
Don't let them take the coasters.
No, coasters are mine.
Coasters are
We're gonna
excellent.
sneak
I
those
can
out of
make
here
more.
Yeah.
before they come confiscate our stuff. This stuff's gonna go with us. Thank you so much, guys, for being on today. That was awesome, educational, and
Blew right past an hour.
Oh,
Not
did we
even
go
thinking
fast?
about it.
yeah, flew by.
Absolutely.
We definitely will have you guys back on too, and learn a lot about wine. Love the branding. Can't wait to link up with both of you guys after we get off the show. For those of you watching, our charity, the Real Estate Rumble, I can't forget them. It's going to be on May 17th, the Park West. Tickets are still available. All the proceeds go to the kids. The boxers are getting ready. They are like in crunch time. They got less than 4 weeks, less than a month before they're going to have to punch each other in the face for charity. Sponsorship is still available, I believe. Reach out to Ryan Cotter. If you don't know how to get a hold of Ryan, reach out to me or reach out to John, and we will put you in touch with Ryan. Both of you guys, you're invited. It's really cool. It's a charity boxing event that has realtors, mortgage people, construction folks, but
Office people.
Yeah, office construction people. We're not talking about the dudes who are kind of working hard in construction, beating up on poor realtors. So, but it's going to be May 17th at the Park West. It's really cool. They pack it. It's got about 1,000 people, and it's a whole lot of fun. So for those of you listening, buy tickets, show up. It's an incredible cause. John and I are very passionate about it. Next week, Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we got incredible guests showing up. I cannot wait to have them on. So every Wednesday, 3 o'clock Central, John and I will be here on WheelHouse. And
We just keep rolling. I mean, the first 2 weeks, we were like, wow, blown away.
Yeah.
And then today, the diversity and the conversation was just awesome.
Yeah.
Plus, we got gifts.
Yeah.
Hint for next week.
Man, I know, like my buddy Evan's going to be on. Evan's always got cool swag, but the rest of our guests, you guys are going to have a hard time topping these two guys bringing us cool stuff. But yeah, thank you for all the love. John and I started this. We didn't know where it was going to go, and every week the guests are amazing. The love and support's amazing, and we can't wait to see you guys next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So thanks, guys, for watching.
In 3, 2, 1.